He never liked the way people talked about failure. Later in life, people would smile and say how beautiful it was that he failed so many times. How inspiring it sounded. How romantic the story became once the ending was known. He always found that strange, because living through failure never felt beautiful to him. It felt heavy. It felt slow. It felt lonely. He was born curious, but not exceptional in the way people imagine. As a child, he asked too many questions. So many that teachers grew tired of him. One of them decided he was difficult, unfocused, maybe even incapable of learning the way others did. He was sent home with the quiet suggestion that school might not be the place for him. His mother disagreed. She taught him herself. Not with grand plans, but with patience. With books. With time. And with the belief that curiosity was not a problem to be fixed, but a force to be guided. Even then, nothing came easily. As a young man, he worked constantly. Long hours. Small pay. Repeated experiments that went nowhere. He burned through notebooks filled with ideas that failed the moment they touched reality. For every small success, there were dozens of dead ends that left no trace except fatigue. People think inventors are driven by inspiration. He was driven by repetition. He tried things again and again, not because he was confident, but because stopping felt worse than continuing. Failure, to him, was not a dramatic collapse. It was waking up tired, knowing that yesterday's work had led to nothing, and choosing to do it again anyway. When he began working seriously on inventions, failure became his daily companion. He tested materials that cracked, wires that burned, designs that collapsed under their own weight. Sometimes an idea would seem promising for weeks, only to fall apart at the final step. Each time, he started over. There were no applause breaks between attempts. People now like to quote him, saying he found thousands of ways that didn't work. What they forget is how exhausting that actually was. Each attempt required money. Each failure drained time. Each setback tested his patience, his health, and his belief that progress was even possible. He watched others rest. He watched others choose stability. He watched others live quieter lives while he stayed in workshops late into the night, surrounded by the smell of metal, heat, and disappointment. When he worked on the light bulb, the world was already impatient. Investors wanted results. Assistants waited for direction. The public expected miracles. What they didn't see were the endless versions that failed silently. Filaments that burned too fast. Designs that looked promising but died within minutes. Days that ended with nothing but another note scribbled in the margin, not this one. Each failure cost something. Not just money, but energy. Confidence. Sleep. There were moments when quitting would have been reasonable. Moments when success felt distant enough to be imaginary. But he understood something important about himself. He was not chasing brilliance. He was chasing durability. He was willing to keep going longer than most people were willing to watch. When success finally arrived, it did not feel like celebration. It felt like relief. Not triumph, but release. The light stayed on. The system worked. And suddenly, the world rushed in to claim the story. People wanted speeches. They wanted lessons. They wanted inspiration neatly packaged into sentences that could fit on posters. He never felt comfortable with that. Because the truth was simpler and harsher. Failure had not been romantic. It had been repetitive, draining, and often thankless. What made the difference was not optimism, or talent, or vision. It was the ability to endure boredom, frustration, and doubt longer than failure could endure him. He did not believe failure made people stronger. He believed it made people tired. And only those who learned how to rest, recover, and return could survive it. In the end, he knew his life would be remembered for inventions. But he understood that invention was only the visible surface. Beneath it lay years of quiet persistence, where nothing seemed to work, and no one was watching. That was the real cost. And that was the part of the story most people preferred to forget.